Listening to Times Radio, it's 42 minutes past 7 o'clock. Thanks very much for your company. Now, earlier this evening in the Conservative Party conference, Home Secretary Suella Braverman said she's considering a radical change to the criminal justice system to guarantee suspects anonymity before they are charged. The Cabinet Minister said she was looking at whether changes could be made to protect the privacy of those suspected of a crime to save them from what she called trial by media. Well, let's speak to Charlie Maloney now, a media law specialist. Charlie, thanks very much for joining us tonight.
Good evening, Rick. Thank you for having me on.
Now, why has she said this now? Because I've been involved in many trials over the years where the idea of anonymity before a charge has been suggested, but nothing's ever come of it.
Well, there has been a campaign or rumours of a campaign being launched by Cliff Richard and others to promote this anonymity. And this comes from a place of, as the Home Secretary has said, sympathy for those who have been accused of offences which carry a lot of social stigma, but which were never ultimately charged and never came to trial. And so therefore people do feel that that's an injustice, and people often point to the fact that under UK law, complainants who make an accusation that there has been a sexual offence committed against them have lifelong anonymity. And some people have said that's very unfair, but at the same time, that is the current state of the law in the UK, and there are good reasons for that.
And do you think this could be just specific offences instead of all offences? Is that the suggestion?
Well, I think that the facts she mentions, Richard and Proctor, Cliff Richard,
yes,
and Harvey Proctor, those were both sexual offences allegations, and it would only make sense if what the Home Secretary was talking about was anonymity for those accused of sexual offences. Otherwise, it would create an unfairness in the criminal justice system, because victims or complainants of other offences do not have anonymity. And so therefore it would mean that only those accused of other offences like burglary have anonymity, whereas their victims would not, which would be patently unfair.
Yeah, of course, Cliff Richard, the media tipped off beforehand with cameras outside the gates and helicopters flying above while the house was searched. How likely do you think it is to come to fruition, this?
I don't think ultimately that it would prove a defensible policy. I think that clearly the last few decades have shown that there is a real concern among many institutions and people in positions of trust about accusations being made about sexual offences which do not lead to any formal charge or peter out, but then later it emerges that certain individuals were serial abusers and were carrying out offences for a number of years. And I think that the naming of a person who has been arrested could potentially serve a social purpose of alerting people to the fact that there is a suspicion, no matter how unpalatable that may seem for those who are accused. And of course, let's not forget, those people have a remedy in civil law, which is to sue for a breach of their privacy. What the Home Secretary's proposal would mean was we would be criminalising journalists for naming those who are accused of very serious offences.
Charlie, thanks so much for shedding some light on that. Charlie Maloney, the media law specialist, joining us after, in her conference speech, Home Secretary Suella Braverman said she's considering a radical change to the criminal justice system to guarantee suspects anonymity before they are charged. And of course, some of the people that Charlie just talking about there never were charged. So we'll keep an eye on that and see if it comes to anything. It is 14 minutes to 8